Introduction to the new Omani Labour Law. Oman has recently introduced significant updates to its labor laws. These changes affect contract structures, vacation policies, working hours, and employee benefits. It emphasizes employee rights, employer responsibilities, and processes for dispute resolution. Omanisation requirements. The new labor law reinforces Omanisation by setting industry-specific quotas for hiring Omani nationals. Introducing incentives for businesses that exceed these quotas. Imposing penalties for non-compliance. Employers must observe the following. The ministry requires an Omanization plan to be submitted by employers through the online portal at the start of every calendar year, specifying Omanized jobs and the entity's efforts to substitute positions held by expatriates with Omani employees. Maintain a register of Omani employees, job vacancies, and Omanization plans. Submit updated records to the Ministry of Labour annually. Incorporate training programs for Omani employees. The new labor law outlines two types of contracts. Fixed-term contracts for a specified period or an indefinite period. Limited to a maximum of 5 years, its renewed extensions should be considered of the original term. Open-ended contracts, not restricted by duration, however subject to termination notice requirements, which should be no less than 1 month. Key provisions include mandatory written contracts, clear job descriptions, and transparent terms regarding salary, probation, and notice periods according to both legal requirements and industry standards. The labor law requires clear notice periods for termination. Employers must provide at least 1 month's notice for employees paid monthly. For other types of employees, the required notice period is 15 days. During the notice period, employees are entitled to time off to seek alternative employment opportunities. Termination and end of service benefits. The new labor law outlines clear guidelines for termination. Termination must be justified, with documentation to support the decision. Employees are entitled to severance pay based on the length of service. The termination notice period shall not be less than 1 month in circumstances of termination by the employer. Employers are permitted to terminate non-Omanis if it relates to the company's Omanization requirements and involves hiring an Omani as their replacement in the same role. Key provisions for termination include fair dismissal. Situations such as poor performance, Omanization needs, or redundancy must adhere to established guidelines and require prior approvals. Unfair dismissal. Employees dismissed arbitrarily may receive compensation of up to 12 months' wages. End of service benefits. Gratuity is calculated based on the length of service and must be promptly settled upon termination. Work hours, leave, and public holidays. Work hours. Daily working hours have been reduced from 9 hours to 8 hours, 40 hours per week, excluding breaks. Annual leave. The employees have been entitled to 30 days of paid annual leave and the option to carry over up to 30 unused days. Parental leave. Maternity leave has been extended to 98 days, and fathers are entitled to 7 days of paternity leave within 98 days of childbirth. Sick leave. The total amount of sick leave that employees are allowed to take up to 182 days of sick leave, with pay gradually reducing from full pay for the first 21 days to 35% after long periods. Public holidays. Entitlement to official holidays, with provisions for compensation if employees are required to work on these days. Social Protection Fund, SPF, and other benefits. PASI, Public Authority for Social Insurance, changed its name to the Social Protection Fund, SPF. Key features for Omanis. Total contribution, 20.5%. Employer contribution, 12.5%. times employee contribution 8%.